All right, welcome to Grit and Game, very first episode of this podcast. Now, I know I said I was not gonna do a podcast, but unfortunately, here I am. My name is Paige Bauer and I'm going to be the host. This podcast is going to focus on hunting and trapping from a woman's perspective, misconceptions about women in the outdoors, hunting techniques, what camo to wear, what camo even matters to wear at all. Basically just all of the things that I feel like talking about in the outdoors. A little bit about me. I am originally from Detroit, Michigan. I was just kind of chasing a better life at that point. I didn't really have a plan for my life, joined the military, moved back and forth to a couple other states, and ultimately ended up in Alabama. That's kind of where my love for the outdoors really took off. I grew up fishing and camping and hiking, but I never was able to get into hunting because I didn't know anybody that deer hunted, turkey hunted, or anything like that. I told my story in a previous YouTube video, but I did a gator hunt one year and realized that that was freaking cool and that I wanted to continue to do that. And so that same friend got me into deer hunting, and I've been in love with deer hunting ever since. Before I get into the podcast, make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter. I'm all over the place so that you can keep up with me and all of my outdoor adventures. I want this podcast to be kind of like you're just hanging out with me and venting about stuff and talking about the great outdoors. Talking about hunting, talking about trapping, whatever's on my mind at the moment. I have so many topics that I want to talk about, so I don't even know where I want to start. Doing the second episode, I know I need to get through the first episode, but the second episode is going to be with my girl Brittany, but the episode that I'm doing on Grit and Game with her is going to be on stereotypes in the outdoors, because I truly believe that there are so many stereotypes on especially women in the outdoors, but it's not just women, it's also what camo you wear, if you hunt public or private. There's so many stigmas against things that people like to do and how they like to do it with hunting, and I feel like some of those need to be talked about. A few questions that I've been asked over the last few months since I started my YouTube channel, and so I'm just kind of gonna go over some of those and answer some of y'all's questions and go from there. Also, check out my Camo Skins green leaf case. I did not mean to turn my flashlight on, but anyways. The first question was, where'd you grow up? How did that shape your interest in the outdoors? So I kind of just answered that one. Grew up in Michigan, moved south about 15 years ago. Everything about the South is amazing to me. I moved to Alabama about 10 years ago, and I settled here because I felt like there was no reason for me to leave. I built my dream house here and killed my first deer here. So yeah, I'm definitely not planning on leaving anytime soon. What is one thing most people don't know about you? I am actually an identical twin. We are 31 minutes apart. I am the oldest. As far as getting along, I feel like we don't get along like 50% of the time, and then we're best friends for the other half. We have the same sense of humor. Can't live with each other, can't live without each other, if that makes sense. But no, she does not hunt. I definitely wish that she did. I talk to her all the time and tell her that if she would just get into hunting, that it would change her life and she would love it, but she disagrees. So I'm not gonna push it on her anymore, but I would say at this rate in life, we are like the polar opposites. Bucket list hunts that you would like to go on. First and foremost, I would love to get a bull elk, mule deer. I would love to get a mountain lion, moose. Did I already say moose? No, moose. I'm really into bears, so I would definitely love to get a black bear. I think that would be a cool experience, especially with a bow, which I was supposed to do in Pennsylvania, but that didn't end up happening. And then of course a black-tailed deer would be cool because I think there's a bunch in Michigan, which of course is where I'm from, so. And then I saw a caribou mount recently when I was turkey hunting in Michigan, and that was the coolest looking animal, so I'd definitely love to kill a caribou someday as well. What inspired me to start this podcast? I really and truly just wanted a place to put my voice out there other than Instagram, Facebook, social media. YouTube is a really cool place that I feel like people can connect in on one niche. And another thing about it is that I have had an online brand for as long as I can remember. I was probably 21 when I started building my online presence, and now I'm almost 34. And I feel like a lot of my followers do not really know me personally. They see what I post every day, they watch my kills throughout the season, they know my favorite songs based off of what I put on my content, but they don't really know me as a person. And I think that part of having a brand on social media is for the people that support you to really understand you and to know who you are and what you really stand for. And so I thought that this podcast might be a good way for people that have been following me for years, and even for people that are new, to get to know me and kind of add an extension to my brand that I've never had before. Favorite thing to hunt, I feel like if you know me, then you know that deer hunting is my ultimate favorite thing. Never stop smiling when talking about it. Life itself would not be the same for me without it. As far as why I love deer hunting the most, it would definitely have to be the fact that it's peaceful. There's nothing like it to be able to sit in the woods and listen to the birds and the squirrels and the crunching of the leaves when a deer walks in, or the sound of a turkey gobble from 50 yards, which is actually a new experience for me. But just being in the woods in general has always been my happy place. And I did not realize that to its fullest extent until I started deer hunting. But I think that the one thing that sticks out the most to me is the fact that it never stops me from coming back for more. Just the sound of a large animal walking through in the fall through the leaves, and I just can't get enough of that feeling. Deer are just cool animals. They are a lot smarter than people give them credit for, and I love watching their behavior during the rut, during the pre-rut, and even before that, just when I'm filling feeders and I see them on my cameras. I just think that they are the most majestic animal, and deer hunting will probably always be my favorite thing to get out in the woods and hunt. I think that turkey hunting is really cool too, but there's something to me about a larger game animal and trying to outsmart them that gets me fired up. Share a memorable hunting or trapping experience. Probably the 8-point that I killed last year. It was a random time because it was the very, very beginning of rut in January, and I was not even sure like where I was gonna sit that day. But I started heading down the ridge top thinking that I was gonna sit on the other side of it. And I found an old ladder stand. Decided, obviously I wasn't gonna sit in that old ladder stand because it was all rusted, but I just happened to look down that ridge top and there was a buck standing right there. So I just crouched down and killed him, and that was the first time that I ever dropped a deer where he stood without having to track him. So that was a memorable experience for me, and also the first buck that I've killed on the new property. I've got some bucks from last year, I've got a few new ones, and can't wait to see how this season turns out. What are some essential skills that you think every hunter and trapper should have? For hunting, I definitely think that scouting is a big one. Even if you're not hunting public land, I believe that when you buy a new piece of property or you lease a new piece of property, that you don't really know what you're getting yourself into simply by using an app and looking at the terrain. I think that you need to get out there, lace your boots up, and scout for rubs and scrapes, because you never know, you know, what you're gonna see out there. Deer trails, I feel like, are really important. I've got a lot of deer trails on my place, and that's where ultimately I decided to have a few stands was on trails rather than on a food source. Mixing it up between having stands over food and having stands over the trail that leads between bedding and food has definitely helped me out so far this season, and I will continue to hunt like that, because to me it was a lot more fun to hunt a trail than it was to hunt a food source, because the challenge of not knowing if they're gonna walk by that morning or not, but then also to be that close to them, because when you're hunting a trail, or at least the trail that I was hunting, I had those deer 10-15 yards from me, and you really cannot get closer than that. Moving right along, what challenges have you faced while hunting and how did you overcome them? I feel like I've faced a lot of challenges learning how to hunt. Just being a woman in the outdoors is already putting us at a disadvantage, because we're maybe not looked at as strong or as capable or as skilled, which I'm definitely going to talk about in another episode. But my biggest challenge that I have faced since starting to hunt has been the fact that I've never had tons and tons and tons of help growing up to do it. I did not do it growing up, but learning any skill or learning any hobby by yourself is not always easy. You can talk to one person that loves to do it one way, and then you can talk to another person that likes to do it another way. And so then you're confused about which way you want to do such thing. That's definitely been a struggle of mine, is just which way do I want to, what bow do I want to use? What arrows do I want to use? Do I want to call them bolts or do I want to call them arrows? Which doesn't matter, by the way. Use a feeder, or do I want to put feed on the ground? What are the reasons why one person does it one way and one person does it another way? A lot of people ask me why I picked up a crossbow, and it's not because of it being a challenge to use a compound. It was simply because the first day that I ever set foot in the deer woods, someone handed me a crossbow, and I used it and I killed a deer with it, and I was excited and happy about that. So there's a lot of challenges that come with deer hunting, just in general, being a woman, but then also not having done it your whole life it can put you at a disadvantage. But my passion for it kind of supersedes the fact that it can be a challenge for me, because I love it and I would never stop loving it due to the fact that it can be hard. And it really is not rocket science, but the other day I actually cut my hand because I got really excited. I saw a deer out of my window and I was getting ready to run outside and cocked my bow, went to load my arrow, and sliced my hand open. And it's moments like that that you would think that it would make me feel like, yeah, screw this, I don't want to do this anymore. But it actually challenged me to get back out there, because this is what I love to do, and this is what has made a difference in my life mentally and physically, and you know, so many other reasons. I get really off topic, I feel like, as far as like the main answer to the questions, so y'all are gonna have to bear with me if I go off on a tangent, because that's gonna happen so much on this podcast. What role does patience play in deer hunting? The funny thing about me and patience is I am definitely not the most patient person at all, and I think that it's actually kind of silly that deer hunting is my favorite thing in the world, because it does take a lot of patience. You have to play the game with the deer like you play the game with any other animal. When you hunt, you're going into an animal's bedroom and you're trying to learn the pattern of what they do so that you can catch them when they slip. And a lot of times they don't slip, and that's what makes hunting is that you have to actually hunt for that animal. I'm definitely not the most patient person, but I've learned that slowing down, which by the way I did not do this day, learned that when you're patient you have a lot better chance at succeeding, and at the same time slowing down and listening has taught me so much more about hunting than pretty much anything else. You know, you can Google stuff, you can talk to people, but having that patience for that animal that you're hunting, and for lack of better words, sitting it out, and the amount of times that you're going out there, it's teaching you something each and every time, and you gotta have it. You gotta have patience to hunt. Have any tips for someone new to trapping? I am fairly new to trapping myself, but with anything in life, I feel like being consistent is what is going to help you out the most. And at the same time, remember why you're doing it. I started trapping because, like I said, I bought a new property. I was seeing turkeys, I was seeing deer, but I knew that the turkey population was much greater in other places and is still greater in other places. And so I've been slowly but steadily working on raccoon trapping, the occasional possum. Right now I'm getting more into coyotes, and each and every predator that gets taken off of your property helps to keep the population of another animal. I've started originally because of turkeys, but then at the same time, getting rid of the coyotes is helping with the deer population. The turkey numbers may not grow for a few years, but it's taking the time and the effort really to go all season. I have been trapping since February of last year, and it is now November. I've probably killed over 100 raccoons, several possums, and I was able to just get my first coyote. And I know that what I'm doing is making a huge impact on the habitat that the deer and turkey on my land are living in. What have you learned about yourself through hunting and trapping? Hunting and trapping, I couldn't even pick just one truly to start talking about, but hunting and trapping has definitely taught me that I can do anything that I set myself out to do. I thought that it was something that I would never be able to do, and that's why originally in life I never got started doing it, because I didn't have what I thought I needed, which was some kind of a connection to be able to do it, which ultimately, you know, I had that one friend that taught me. But with trapping, it was something that I threw myself into, and I learned so much about myself just in the fact that who knew that the first time that I ever set a coyote trap that I would catch my first coyote? Who knew that, you know, the first time I was ever exposed to trapping that I would cry because it was sad because the raccoon was fluffy, and now it is business to me and I'm helping retain a turkey population or create a bigger turkey population for years to come on my very own land. So, and then as far as hunting goes, I get more comfortable in going out there and deer hunting different spots because I retain so much knowledge from year to year, even so far. And it's just showing me that there is nothing in life that if I want to do something, if I'm passionate about something, that I can make it happen. Everything that I touch, that I love, I make it better in some kind of a way, and it makes me better. And that's why I love hunting, and now why I love trapping, because it not only makes me a better person, but I'm doing good for the animals around me. I think that a lot of people have an assumption, and maybe this is better suited for the next podcast, but I think that a lot of people have this assumption that hunters and trappers are just trying to kill everything, and that is the farthest from the truth. Just because an animal is fluffy does not mean that it is not overpopulated. Just because an animal is cute does not mean that it is not a predator. But anyways, back to the point of what have you learned? What have I learned about myself? Never limit yourself in life just because you don't think that you can do something because you don't know how. If you love something or it intrigues you, put yourself out there, learn how to do it, learn from all the different sources that you can, and just do it. I know that it sounds cliche, but I would not be where I am in life today if it wasn't for teaching myself to hunt and to trap because I wanted to. And now, like I always say, it is my whole life and I couldn't imagine my life without it. Don't limit yourself in life because you will look back and wonder, what if you had ended up being this or that? I have so many dreams in life, but one of them was to be the best deer hunter. I'm the only person that hunts in my family, and I thought that if I'm gonna do something in life, I need to be really good at it. And I've been researching different things, and I think I'm rambling, but what I'm getting at is do not limit yourself to anything in life because you could turn up a year later and be the best at it for yourself that you ever thought that you could be. How do I balance hunting and trapping with other aspects of life? I feel like hunting and trapping is my whole life. It is how I make a living. It is my favorite hobby. It is the topic of every conversation that I have. I don't know. Some of the most important people of my life through deer hunting and hunting in general, hunting and trapping both. I couldn't imagine a life where I'm not doing this for a living anymore. I don't need to separate my passions from my life because I think that to really live your life, you don't have to separate that from your daily life. I don't know. That's just my opinion, but I'm definitely not surrounding myself with people that their goals and values don't align with mine. And you know, everyone that I know likes to hunt, and I feel like I'm a better person for it because I get to learn so much from those people. That about wraps up the questions for today because I could literally talk forever and it's a gloomy rainy day and I probably need a nap. No, I'm kidding. But hopefully y'all are going to enjoy the Grit and Game podcast series. It is definitely going to be a little more focused on from the woman's perspective, obviously, but I will be talking about everything under the sun having to do with hunting and trapping. I may have a few people on here occasionally that I want to discuss topics with, but mainly it'll just be me solo for a while. And I'm always open to y'all's suggestions on what you want to hear me talk about because, you know, I can talk forever. I can even talk in circles. So let me know what you want me to talk about here in the future. And as far as the next episode, I will be talking with Brittany that I did my last YouTube video with about stereotypes in the outdoors and how they don't make any damn sense, for lack of a better word. So I will see y'all in the next episode.